If I had a nickel for every cartoon over this past week of liberals overreacting to law enforcement, I could probably buy a gallon of gas. As such, people like Mr. Bennett honestly believe that ICE is going after Americans. All the people have to do is let ICE arrest the illegals and not impede law enforcement. They could also stop burning cars. Meanwhile, you can be charged with a crime if you so much as interfere with an officer at a traffic stop. How much more so when law enforcement is arresting potential terrorists? There are a lot of things wrong with this. Each thing that is bought means that someone gets a job. Think of all the low and middle class people who are employed building these yachts and cars. They have money to feed their families, and these same people do not just have a Scrooge McDuck vault where they keep their money. They put it in banks where people can use it for business loans to help grow the economy themselves. Alternatively, they also hire more people and buy more equipment for their businesses. Furthermore, I leave you with two thoughts. 1. I have never met a poor person who offered me a job. 2. Even if you taxed every millionaire and billionaire at 100% of their income, you could run the federal government for about 3 months. Alternatively, you could hire Americans, but you probably want to hire illegals so that you can get away with cheap labor. Ironically, this is also the party of workers' rights, and the party of the ever-increasing minimum wage. If it were not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. Perhaps we think that cancer, heart attack, asthma, and diabetes are not good trade-offs for stopping the uncommon cold. I certainly do not think the trade is worth it, but I was called a conspiracy theorist for pointing out the problems with the vaccine. I prefer to say that I was just reporting the news a few months in advance. Or law enforcement goes where the criminals are. From the very start of this campaign, President Trump made it clear. He is targeting the violent criminals. But if he happens to find other illegals in the process, they may as well be arrested too. These people have the opportunity to self-deport for $1,000 and a plane ride back to their country. But these people are not taking such a generous offer. Instead, they wave the flags of foreign countries. What part of shall not be infringed is so unclear? Is it any coincidence that a mass shooter will choose a location that is gun-free for a rampage? No. No, it is not. That is because they want to inflict as much damage as possible. Schools with armed guards or teachers do not have mass shootings on the same scale. When a gunman came to a church with armed congregants, he only took one life before he was killed as well. Not that the gun grabbers care about facts. It is a good thing that this democracy is dead, because democracies always collapse. America is a republic where your rights and your property cannot be taken away from you without being convicted of a crime. I really do hate the word democracy. It has become a meaningless term when working with liberals. In the same way, the word fascist has become meaningless. If fascist just applies to everyone whom you do not like, it is also meaningless. I am sure that this is in reference to the parade celebrating a certain 250th anniversary. But this is Mr. Deering that we are talking about. When President Trump first ran for office, the nations of the world warned America that he would start World War III. Not only did he not start any new wars, he goes out of his way to try and find peaceful economic solutions. Because when goods cross borders, armies do not. President Trump is no politician. He is a leader, and those are much rarer. I have to be honest. I have never heard of this Orban person before. Apparently he is the Prime Minister of Hungary. Hungary is far from a bastion of liberty and freedom. However, this cartoon is in response to Orban's administration banning pride parades. While it is fallacious to lump an entire group of people into one box, I have seen enough things at these so-called pride parades that should not only never be mentioned in mixed company, but are not safe to mention online. And for whatever reason, people bring children to these things. Some of the things there would be risque in an R-rated movie. And again, parents bring their children. And some of these raunchy parades are even funded by tax dollars. Liberals are still complaining about Sesame Street's funding. Maybe if the show did not push political propaganda, President Trump would have completely ignored the show. Just because people like a show and it is educational, does not mean that it should get taxpayer dollars. Should Dora the Explorer be subsidized by tax dollars? She most certainly should not get a single penny from taxpayers. If people want to pay to watch a show, that is how it should be funded. Then again, most liberals just want to spend money because they do not care about the inevitable inflation that comes as a result. Here we have a false comparison. President Trump is a little more concerned about Los Angeles because that is a city that is actually under his jurisdiction. Not one country in the Middle East is under his jurisdiction. And while in America, he is the law and order president. And while people march to defend terrorists and attack law enforcement for no good reason, that becomes his business. I am waiting for a source that shows President Trump calling for political violence. I can find plenty of clips of Democrats calling for political violence, but none from President Trump. All of the violence in Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago, and every other wasteland is all on the Democrats. Every little bit. Therefore, we must logically conclude that this apple came from the next tree over, a bigoted and hateful tree that spews anti-whiteism and TDS daily.